Hello everybody, this is Starman and welcome back to Let's Play Gabriel Knight, the 20th Anniversary Edition. Well, we are here in the home of Magentia Moonbeam, a honest-to-goodness real voodoo priestess, or so she claims, and last time we enjoyed her snake dance. Maybe a little too much, but at any rate, we've asked her everything that we possibly can that would be useful, so now it's time to start combing our inventory for things that might be of note. So let's ask her about the voodoo murder photo.
Could you look at this and tell me if you recognize anything about it?
That's from those Voodoo Murders, isn't it? That has nothing to do with me.
Okay. But she won't tell us if it's authentic or not. And, this is standard for adventure heroes, I know, but can we just marvel at the sheer amount of stuff Gabriel is carrying in his trench coat right now? I mean, magnifying glass and tweezers, fine, sketchbook, couple of photos, some scales, but we've still got this priest costume, half a brick, a crocodile mask, and various odd bits of paper. That doesn't appear to work that way. Okay, we can't ask her about the historical picture. And she already said she doesn't have any idea what veves are, so probably showing her this won't do any good either. Then again...
Does this mean anything to you?
These are magical symbols. Deep magic.
Really? Have you seen them before?
No.
And how do you know they're magic symbols?
Seeker, my eyes are unveiled to see truly that which is in front of me.
Uh-huh. Thanks, tons.
Yeah. No, the only thing we have that is actually going to be at all helpful, or that she will be at all helpful with, is that code.
Do these symbols mean anything to you?
Ah, the Voodoo Code. It is very secret, yes. I studied it with my mentor, the great Queen Tabitha.
Really? Great. Can you tell me what it says?
I'm afraid I could never translate this code for an outsider such as yourself, Monsieur Knight.
Now this is itself a departure from the first game, because originally you'd show her the code and she'd say, oh yes, I can absolutely tell you what this means. Now we have the added challenge of needing to prove to her that we are not an outsider before she will do this. Which on the one hand, I guess it does make a little more sense. Unfortunately, what we have to do to prove we aren't an outsider is not going to make a lick of sense.
Could I ask you a few more questions?
Certainly.
Are you sure you can't translate this for me?
As I said, it's a very secret code.
It's a secret to
Sure,
everyone.
you can see I'm trying to learn as much as I can here. How am I supposed to become an insider if you won't help me?
That's true, I suppose. Perhaps if the Loa were to grant you their approval.
How do I get that?
By using my Ask the Loa machine.
A machine?
Yes. A spirit guided me to it years ago in an antique store. And its guidance has never faltered. I trust it implicitly.
I see.
The spirits often work in mysterious ways, Mr. Knight. If you aren't willing to ask...
No, I'll ask. Let's see here.
Okay, so yes. This is how we are meant to win her trust, by using some carny trash machine, the spiritual equivalent of a love tester. Thankfully, you can kind of guess where this is going just looking at what's on here. So yeah, total gobbledygook. So when you get to spell out trusted friend.
Well done, Mr. Knight. You have earned the Loa's approval.
Truly, it's an honor. Now, about that code.
Let me see. Well, some of it is nonsense, I'm afraid. Whoever wrote this wasn't very good.
That's all right. Just tell me what it says.
It starts with a D and J. Then... okay, this part makes sense. It says, Conclave tonight, bring... well, then there's more nonsense. F-W-E-T-K-A-S-H. The last bit might mean cash. Fresh cash? Doesn't make much sense.
That's okay. Thanks. D.J. Conclave K-A-S-H. It's a start.
I'm happy I could help.
Now, for those of you who've been paying attention to our Voodoo 101 lecture, who didn't actually fall asleep during it, Fwetcash is actually the term for a ritual whip in the Voodoo ceremonies. So that indicates that whoever is leaving those messages is involved in something older and a bit more serious than the New Age voodoo that Magentia here practices.
What happened to you?
Who, me? Nothing. Why?
You're kind of a pale green color. Come here.
Pale green, you say? Charming.
What's that on your face?
I'm sure you'll tell me.
Looks like a sparkly or something. Got it.
I love it when you pick stuff off my face, Grace.
Well, excuse me.
Okay, so now we have something sparkly in the ashtray there. There's something in the ashtray. Well... there's a snake scale in the ashtray. Use the tweezers to pick that up. Gabriel finds a snake scale in the ashtray. It's a souvenir from the museum's python. Alright, well, time to take a look at what we've retrieved recently. Gabriel magnifies the shed skin from Magentia Moonbeam's snake. The snake scales are hued brown. They don't match the scales from Lake Pontchartrain. However... well, I thought there was a way to combine those two, but apparently not. Oh, we need to look at this. Gabriel gazed at the translation of the code that Moonbeam gave him, pondering who wrote it and for whom it was meant. Yeah, DJ, Conclave tonight, bring Fwetcash. I think we all know who DJ is, don't we? Alright, and then the museum snake scale. Gabriel magnifies the snake scale from the Voodoo Museum's python. It's the snake scale from the Voodoo Museum python. Heh. He places the two scales together. The two iridescent scales are a perfect match. Okay. So, that gives us some conclusive proof that whoever is involved in the murders is using the museum snake. We've got Hartridge's notes. We've got the article and the pattern, all of which I think should be evidence enough to convince Mosley that we're onto something. And that's not creepy at all. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3 nearly identical little girls are playing jump right outside the station. There's something a little off about them.
Mostly, my man.
It's you. God help me.
Alright, let's see if we have any new conversation options.
Can I ask you about some stuff?
You're the writer. Ask away.
Yeah, we have learned quite a bit since then, so let's go with Crash's death.
Crash is dead.
What? What are you talking about? I let him go yesterday.
Yeah, and I watched him die yesterday at St. Louis Cathedral.
At the cathedral? I guess he was trying to get a last-minute A-train ticket, huh? Poor bastard.
I think you should go find the body at the morgue. He was killed by the Voodoo Cult. Crash said...
Crash said? What, he mentioned pink elephants, too?
Aren't you going to investigate?
Civilians. Did you actually see someone kill him?
No, actually I was with him when he died. Could have been poison, though.
Yeah, well, when they get the body in, they'll do a quick autopsy, standard procedure. If it's anything other than an overdose, I'll get a report.
And Hartridge's death.
There's been another murder. A professor at Tulane.
Oh, Christ. You're not gonna start this again.
Just listen. This guy's name is Hartridge. He was a professor in African Studies at Tulane. Well, yesterday I went to see him about the Voodoo Murders case. He agreed to do some research for me. He calls me up this morning, tells me he's on to something big, and when I get over there, the guy's dead.
You know, you're really getting your ass in a sling over this thing, Knight.
It's not about me. Look, Hartridge's death looked just like Crash's. I'm telling you, they were both murdered, and by the same people who did the Voodoo Murders.
Did either Crash or this new guy have their hearts ripped out?
No.
Then there's nothing to link either to the Voodoo Murders M.O. Besides that, the case is closed, Knight. If the coroner's report asks for a homicide investigation on either of these guys, fine. But it's not going to be related to the Voodoo Murders case unless we find damn good reason to do so.
But I'm the link to the Voodoo Murders case. Don't you see?
Look, if I were you, I wouldn't repeat that to anyone. Because if I weren't an old friend of yours, I might take you seriously and lock you up. As it is, maybe you should start keeping your mouth shut and not involve other people with this shit if you think it's so dangerous.
Alright.
How can I convince you to reopen the case?
I already told you. You still need to prove that there's a legitimate voodoo cult in Narland. Prove that they're a threat. Get me a lead on the cult.
Okay. And we can ask him about all this stuff, but it's just going to be more comedic fodder and won't lead us anywhere. So let's see. Let's go ahead and start with the Voodoo article.
This is a newspaper clipping about a murder committed in 1810. That murder is an exact match of the Voodoo Murders, right down to the marks around the bodies.
This does sound like the same M.O. 1810.
1810. They killed then, they're killing now. Isn't that proof that they're likely to kill again? Or that they are a threat?
Sure, if there is a voodoo cult, they're a threat.
Well, let's go with Hartridge's notes.
I have this. Take a look at these notes. They're from Professor Hartridge at Tulane University.
Yeah? What about them?
They confirm that the pattern for the murders is of African origin.
This is interesting if it's true. But how do you know he had the right pattern?
Well, let's see, where did... Ah, there we go. Reconstructed Veve.
You know those marks you found around the murder victims? This is a reconstruction of the whole pattern.
What makes you think this is an accurate reconstruction?
Well, I borrowed the partial patterns from your police file and did my own tracing of the pattern at Lake Pontchartrain. An architectural artist reconstructed it for me from the partials.
Really? So this is the whole pattern, huh? That's pretty good work, Knight. So that's what Hartridge used, huh? I guess his analysis is on target then. Okay, the murders were committed by a legitimate voodoo cult. You proved your point.
But we still need a lead to get to him.
I have these two snake scales. One's from the crime scene at Lake Pontchartrain. The other's from a snake in the Voodoo Museum on Ursulines and Charters.
Is this common? Do they all look alike?
Not at all. They're both constrictor scales and the coloring is the same. A python's coloring is quite individualistic.
A python?
That's right. Hardly an indigenous snake to Louisiana. Somehow, some way, the Voodoo Museum's python was at the scene of the Lake Pontchartrain murder.
Well, I'd call that a lead, all right. It definitely suggests certain lines of inquiry at the museum. Not bad work, Knight. Okay, I'll reopen the case. I hate to admit it, but you've done some pretty good detective work here, Knight.
Well, you know what they say. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Well, point taken. Glad I could inspire you. I'll check around the department, but I have a feeling I'm on my own. I'll be in touch. Meanwhile, you stay out of trouble. I mean it.
I'll try. Thanks, bud.
Now lay low and let me handle this.
Yeah, fine.
Funny how his jacket looks more brown than realtor yellow out here. And this is going to be our last chance to do anything back here.
She's not bad.
But I'm not going to harass Officer Franks one more time. It looks like it won't let me anyway. So let's head on home. It's getting late. Gabriel decides to go home for the day.
Damn.
Yep. No sleepless night tonight. Well, not from the fun stuff. Makes a little more sense this time, doesn't it? So that brings us to day 6. And then the night became as day. I glimpsed nature's reddest claw. The face of fear looked back at me as I gazed into the maw. Well, nothing prophetic or helpful about that one.
What is it? What's wrong?
Gabriel!
I see it, Grace. Hold on. There's no one in the shop, and I know there's no one in the back. It's okay.
Okay? Gabriel, that thing is still barely alive. How could someone do this?
With a knife, maybe?
Oh, God, don't even start. We should call the police.
No, I'll take care of it.
But, Gabriel...
I said I'll take care of it. Why don't you go get some coffee? I'll have it all cleaned up before you get back.
They know where you live now.
Shh, it's gonna be fine. Now go on.
Later...
Are you sure you don't want to go home? I could close the shop today.
No, I'd rather keep busy. I'll be fine. At least that creepy guy is gone. Not that they aren't still watching. Anyway, speaking of keeping busy, we got that book you ordered in this morning. The one on Rada drums.
Really? Great.
Gabriel!
I see it. Stay back.
How do you see it when it came in after he said, I see it? Special delivery, it seems.
It's just an envelope.
I can see that.
Well, let's not keep us in suspense. Let's go ahead and open it. Gabriel opens the envelope and finds a note from Mosley and a small brass key. Mosley's note says,
Gabe, I have to go underground with this thing. It runs wide and deep throughout the department and the city board. I'm already being watched. It was suggested that I take vacation time, so I am, at least as far as they know. Try to keep out of this. It's too hot for a rookie. Just in case, I'm sending you my office key. You might find some useful things there. P.S. I think this note will look great in the book, don't you? Make sure you save it.
The note is signed by Mosley. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the key. The key has Property of New Orleans Police Department stamped on it. Right, not anymore. And the book. The book contains several pages of Rada drum codes. Note from Mosley. The key is from Mosley. Grace actually managed to find a book on the Rada drum code. Yep, and Gabriel is matched the Pontchartrain scale with the scale from the Museum Python. Alright. Well, let's go ahead and check our horoscope. The root of St. John's Eve. Times, dated June 23rd, 1993. Gabriel finds an article about St. John's Eve that discusses the day's Catholic roots and its adoption by voodoo devotees. In the early to mid-1800s, St. John's Eve was celebrated with elaborate voodoo gatherings at Lake Pontchartrain, Bayou St. John, and other sites outside the city. These days, the day is commemorated commercially in some of the local shops, and a few churches still hold the St. John's Eve Mass. Despite his better judgment, Gabriel reads his horoscope. Today you will either die, or your life will change forever.
Sure, why not? It is St. John's Eve. They'll be out tonight for sure. But where?
Oh, if only we had some means of devising the secret code that they use to send each other messages. Oh, wait. We do. And that is what we will get down to dealing with next time. We'll see you then.